The lethality of their power is greater than ever. Their capacity to impose control over the politically awakened masses of the world is at a historical low. In earlier times, it was easier to control a million people than physically to kill a million people. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill a million people than to control a million people.
It's just unbelievable. And obviously we're in a socialist takeover of the United States. There's no question about it. Anybody who doesn't realize that is just asleep.
Well, personally, I think that the issues transcend this sort of distinction: communism, socialism, free enterprise. I think that
totalitarianism in general. I mean, you don't want to give it a
I think that's a better word, actually.
Better word to use.
For me, I'm more comfortable with that word because I don't think, personally, I think that the capitalist system, once again, has within it the infrastructure for horrific kinds of exploitation. I'm not a socialist, but I do look at the free enterprise system with a bit of fear and loathing as well.
So, Janet, I think that it's interesting. Because personally, I can see that it's not capitalism per se that's the problem. It's greed, because there are many capitalists that are not greedy and they give their employees, they do well for their people. There are good companies to work for and bad, evil corporations to work for. So, Monsanto is evil, where a homegrown farm that has 12 employees that give them a good wage and treats them well, they're capitalists, right?
Right, exactly.
It's greed, I think, is the problem. And then greed can come on socialist terms as well. The greed of the power corrupts, and ultimately power corrupts ultimately. Is that right?
Well, whenever you have the centralization of power, you open the door for the corruption. And then, what we're seeing now is just becoming, it's like a science fiction fantasy.
I honestly am just waiting for them. They do this all the time. Again, they constantly try to, and I'm not even a real true target or anything, and they attack me and they try to discredit me and destroy my websites. They shut down my pages. They block me when I try to do things because, I don't know what their intention is, because I refuse to stop, but it just tells you that we're not a free country. It's not a free country. You really can't.
I got to say something really funny about this, about the attacking and the shutting down the web, and how it all kind of can meld with capitalism, because this is a kind of a funny story. I have, it's just a book of poetry. It was published a few years ago. There's an icon for it on my website, and people can go to the publisher, and if they want to buy, it's political poetry mostly. It's called the Hitler Poems. Well, my publisher decided, without really letting me know, to pull the book off Amazon. And then my publisher started telling people who were trying to buy it through my publisher that it wasn't available anymore, which was untrue. So I went to Amazon to see what was going on, and there were used copies of my book selling for $160. Now, who is going to buy a used book of poetry that supposedly you can get for new for like $10? Who's going to buy a used copy for $160? Well, what they did, Amazon basically, it was priced on Amazon beyond anybody's interest probably in buying it, okay? So I contacted Amazon. I said, what's going on? I mean, it should be like $3, $4 maybe. They said, oh, well, it's not us. It's the the vendors that are selling on Amazon. So I contacted the vendors. Oh, it's not us, it's Amazon. And then I contacted my own publisher, because I was somebody who tried to buy my book out in Southern California, told me that my publisher is saying it's not available when it was. So basically, this capitalist system basically burned my book. Okay, they made it unavailable from the publisher, and Amazon, it was priced on, and without attributing it directly to Amazon, it was priced on Amazon beyond people's ability to pay. And to my mind, that's a book burning. So
yeah, it is.
I put on my battle gear and I went to battle against Amazon and also my publisher. And we've got the book back listed on Amazon for affordable prices. Now the used copies are affordable. The new copies are also now available again on Amazon. Can you believe this? I mean, do you know how much time this took just to resolve this?
Well, that's what they do. They want to use up your time. They want to keep you buried. They want to bury you.
And they want you to feel like you're just hitting your head against this, you know, enormous brick wall. So.
Well, Janet, that's what happened to me. It's like I keep looking. It's funny. It's like you talk about a positive mental attitude and try and keep trying and never quit. You know, the so-called components of success, right? And they just keep doing it. They'll strike on. For example, I use every video on my YouTube page is fair use. NBC took down. Called YouTube, and they took down a version of All Quiet on the Western Front that I had up there for fair use. And here's how they do it. They threatened me. They said if I want to have it restored, that I'm going to have to get a lawsuit with these people, you know, and I'd have to be part of a lawsuit, and I could.
So what YouTube is saying, before submission, to submit copyright counter notification, you must be certain that you have the legal right to post the video to YouTube. By submitting a counter notification, you consent to disclosing the information provided below, which is what I wrote down about fair use, including your name, address, and phone number to the claimant. A counter notification is legal notification to YouTube that the claimant has made a mistake or misidentified your content. To prevent your content from being reinstated to YouTube, the claimant must sue you. If you are not prepared to face the claimant in court, you should not proceed with a counter notification. If there is any part of this process that is unclear to you, please consult with a lawyer.
And I'm just like, I have some other films on there, like I have a fair use copy of Executive Action, which is a film regarding the, it's a so-called fiction regarding the Kennedy assassination with, who was in it? It was Burt Lancaster. Plays a CIA guy, and I was just waiting for them. That'll be the next one. You can even see on the list. It was the ones they chose were the ones that had the most views. The ones that had the most views, that were drawing the most attention to my site, which gave the truth, were the ones that they hit me with those copyright strikes. Not anyone, and all of my films have little clips of movies and things. All of the broadcasts have something. Or an NBC piece or whatever, or a clip from, you know, Chris Matthews. And that's all fair use. They didn't target that. They targeted the movies that were bringing like 25,000 people a month to my site. That's what they targeted. So yeah, I see exactly how it's working, and they keep doing it. So then worst case, they said, if it happens again, I can never have a YouTube account. They'll close my account with everything, and I'll lose all the videos that I uploaded, all 800 videos. And I mean, I have them all. I have all the broadcasts, and all the shows and all the interviews. But that's their threat. It's supposedly all, you know, it's fair use. It's one of the criteria. If you wish to counterclaim this fair use, you will be required to go to court. It says it. I actually have. I could send you like a screenshot of what they tell you. And
I would like to see that, because I would like to contact NBC and ask them what the heck they think they're doing.
Well, I'm telling you what they did.
Well, you know, sometimes when other reporters get involved and they say, excuse me, you know.
Well, for me to get it back, I have to sue them. In other words, for me to get the copyright strike taken off and for me to have the video put back up, I have to sue them.
Well, not always. I mean, they want to make you think you have to. But sometimes if you can kind of like get a cluster of other reporters to contact them going, excuse me, you know, what do you think you're doing? Sometimes they back off. They really do sometimes back off.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying. I'm a peanut. I'm nobody. You know, it's like, it's just, I just happen to be giving the right, I'm telling the truth, where there's so many people out there that talking about, you know, lizards and shit, you know?
In their estimation, then you're not a nobody, Howard, because you're not a nobody, okay? Obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. And more power to you.
Well, more power to us, because we have to stick together.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that maybe that's the threat. I mean, I call people to action on everybody that this is what it is. Imagine if everybody did what I do and Janet does. Anyone that in your capacity as a reporter, as an investigative journalist, if you actually really did the work like Janet Phelan does, uncover the real truth, the corruption, the lies, and not worry about your paycheck from the Tribune Company or from United Press International or AP or the Rothschilds, Reuters, right? That's the truth. Nobody wants to step up to the plate and put their assets on the table, so to speak.
This actually, I want to bring up something briefly, just between you and me, Howard. Yeah, just between us. As I think you know, they're going to court next month to close down my trust fund, which is basically my income. And they weren't able to cut me out of the trust, so they basically stole all the money. Yeah, well, you wouldn't believe. Well, now I caught them on IRS fraud. I caught them embezzlement. I now caught them on interstate mail fraud. Okay, so